Sup everyone? I'm here again, I'm in my favourite park. This is becoming something of a habit, but it's a very pleasant habit. It's the reason it's become a very effortless thing to do every day, is just come for a little jog in this soothing, warm, sunny little park here in Georgia. Now, yesterday I had a really good coaching session with a fella, and we went into the topic of, as I always like to get into, which is thinking a little bit outside the box. So moving beyond the confines of the business that he was working on and making the business more effective and doing what needs to be done to get more clients and get more income coming through. We traversed into the world of dreaming, and I got him to think about some of the things that he might be interested in doing that goes a little bit beyond the business in terms of purpose and things he'd like to do, challenges he'd like to take on, things he'd love to have happen in his life, extraordinary things he would love to have happen in his life. And he had a lot of difficulty. He gave it a lot of umming and ahhing and had to get plenty of space and time to really think about what his dreams were. And after a bit of coaxing and a bit of thought and a bit of pausing, he finally came up with a few, but he was quite flabbergasted at himself at how difficult it was for him to come up with a dream that he considered worthy of, and a dream in and of itself. He couldn't think of anything, which really showed how little dreaming was on his mind, or how he had pushed dreams and childhood wants and various lusts and interests into the darkness, into the background, as he focused on, like we all do, we all sort of get immersed in our day-to-day, and we dive headfirst into what we're doing right in front of us, and we forget about what we could be dreaming about. But I always encourage people, and this is why I do coaching, because it's such a joy to see where people could go, to see how interesting their lives could get, and to see what their purpose might look like. Because it's not just about the frivolous act of dreaming. It isn't just about wasting time like a child daydreaming, which is, I think, the impression a lot of people get about dreaming. People do not prioritize having fun with the imaginative power that we are endowed with as storytelling, visionary people. And we simply deny ourselves, through our adult lives, the luxury of creating visions that are interesting for us, that we could potentially bring into our lives, into reality, that then feed into what we do today. And this is something that people forget, is that dreams have a lot of power in getting you motivated, getting you excited again about what you are doing, no matter what level of complexity the task is at hand at the moment. It could be something very mundane that you're working on, but by having a dream, by having something that is coming, that is interesting, some juicy cake that is on the horizon or is guiding your actions, is going to make life a lot easier. And as soon as we got into all the exciting things that this guy could do and could make happen in his life, like, for example, not having his wife not need to work anymore because income would have gotten to that level, or getting into various adventures and challenges and climbing mountains and going on interesting bike rides and things like that. We brought this back into his existence through our discussion, and a certain level of fire was breathed back into this guy and into the conversation, and it became one of those effortless coaching conversations that goes on, because it's so intriguing to see and touch and poke possibility. And of course, to get to the point here, which is that purpose has a lot of power in all of our lives, and I think a lot of us are missing that sense of purpose. We hear about it all the time. Find your purpose, find your passion, and no one really knows what to do with that, because they think it's frivolous. They think they are undeserving of something that could be described as a dream, as life-changing, as something bigger than them. They think, oh, that's for later, that's maybe for If life was a lot easier now, then maybe, yeah, I might entertain dreaming, I might entertain passion. But right now, I've got to get food on the table. I've got to be serious here. You know, I'm not making enough money. I've got to focus on what's in front of me. But the way to do that, the way to make life right now not only bearable, not only survivable, but a thrill and an energized experience, is to dream. You need that aspect of your life. You need to include that into your life. Think about when you watch one of your favorite movies or you're reading one of your favorite novels, and the protagonist, there's an inciting incident early on in the novel or early on in the movie that puts the mundane life of the protagonist, the everyday Joe. Suddenly something happens. Perhaps a meteor is seen to be coming towards Earth, and he finds himself thrown into a new existence, a new way of being, a new paradigm where he has to save the world from this oncoming meteor. Suddenly there's a purpose. A purpose has loomed into view, and suddenly we find ourselves unable to put the book down. Notice that? Something is challenging. There's something that is up ahead. The prospect of saving the world, the prospect of not falling into an apocalyptic, dead, desolate planet. And we have the potential to change the world through the act of one or more people. And it becomes a very juicy prospect. It's challenging, it's also extremely desirable. It's also extremely sharp, an idea. It's a very colourful image. The idea of diverting a meteor from the end of the world. Suddenly we're woken up. Suddenly life gets colourful again. Whether you are the protagonist, whether you are imagining yourself as the protagonist, or whether you're reading a book. Things get very interesting when someone is put through an arc of character development, being tested, being challenged, but also having something interesting and desirable and awakening to look forward to, and to have that guide your life. So we need to bring that storytelling power that we all have as humans, and the power of storytelling in that it wakes people up. It makes life interesting. It makes living worth living. We want to be the protagonists of our own novels, and the way to do that, the way to make that work, is you've got to write that story. You have to be the author of your own life, otherwise life is going to dictate how it can be on its own terms, and sometimes those terms end up not so good or just boring. You might have a book you come across that isn't written by a very good writer, who doesn't understand the power of purpose, who doesn't understand the power of challenge, and creates a boring read that you only get through 2 pages of. And most of us are reading or creating the boring book. Are you in a boring book? Are you a poor writer of your own life? Well, sign up today for 3 installments of a new course I'm developing called Write Your Own Story. You get what I'm getting at. Allow yourself the luxury to dream, and then realize that when you do that, you see that it isn't a luxury after all, it is a necessity. Spend a bit of time every day reminding yourself of your purpose, and check in with that purpose every day. Now, a note on purposes before I sign out. A lot of people think that you need to come up with this life-changing, world-changing, super do-gooding single purpose that is this kind of ethereal thing that you will be, some gods in the heavens will speak to you through some special channel of communication, and you'll hear of it in your dreams and blah, blah, blah. No, a purpose can evolve through your life. You can have multiple purposes. What I encourage people to have is not one purpose. Why would you hedge all your bets on one purpose? I live life on a tapestry of purposes. I create visions through writing them down and being aware of them, reminding myself of them, of goals, of purposes. They interrelate. Goals and purposes are effectively the same thing. You're basically aiming for something. You are clarifying those things that guide your motivation today. So you can have multiple purposes. You can say to yourself, all right, I want to get to a stage where my family is financially free and is totally secure, and I have decades of savings. That'd be one purpose. You could also have a purpose that says, for example, in my case, I want to help thousands of you guys find your purpose. That's my purpose, is helping other people find their goals, their dreams, and their purposes. That's me being a coach, a successful coach, and that will of course feed into that other purpose. This is the tapestry forming here, if you see what I mean. If you create these tapestries with all the pieces that interrelate, you create a very powerful uber purpose in your mind that fills every waking hour, that gets you excited. You're not just focused on one purpose, which could be powerful enough in itself, of course, but you could have multiple purposes, and you've got to feed that furnace every day. You've got to feed that fuel, otherwise it'll die out like a fire does. And you could add other purposes to that. You could say, I want to travel the world. I want to build a house in Brazil. I want to build a big house in Brazil with a pool and a tennis court. Or I want to build a charity that helps thousands of suffering single mothers, whatever. Figure out what you want. Figure out what you could want. Don't expect there to be a calling. Do not expect there to be some path laid out for you. You get the luxury, the power, the joy to choose. And then you've got to make that tapestry real by reminding yourself of it every day. And that is you starting to create the outline of your story. So don't forget the power of dreaming. Don't forget the power that dreams and purpose and goal setting create for you in terms of the energy it's going to generate in you. If you're feeling flat, if you feel bored frequently, if you're not motivated to jump out of bed every morning early, if you don't know what it's all about, if you can't find that meaning that everyone's talking about, that sense of fulfillment, create a tapestry of purposes. So sit down today, this is my call to action for you. Write down a list of things you want to see happen in your life, and go big, make them interesting and extraordinary, and make them a bit of a push. If there's no challenge, if there's no stretch, that won't excite you, okay? It needs to show to you that you are going to grow through the process, like a protagonist in a story changes. The only interesting stories are when protagonist starts as a lazy potato head sitting on a sofa all day doing nothing, goes through the character arc, through the challenges, is face on with his purpose, and character changes, personality changes through that arc. And that's an interesting story. Make that for yourself, design it for yourself. That is the secret to an abundant, motivated life, is that you are in the driver's seat. You are the author of your life. So don't forget the power of dreaming. And I saw this very powerful yesterday in this coaching session, by introducing dreams and not making it about, let's focus on your business, let's focus on the humdrum, the technical details. Of course, we talk about that as well, but there's also the holistic approach. Think about your life holistically. It's about the wider goals, see the forest for the trees and see the trees as well. Yep, there's a lot of work on your hands, a lot of work to do, and that's part of the fun. The more productive you can make yourself, the more productive you will be. Okay, I'm gonna sign out here because we're going on a bit, but hopefully that helped. If you liked this kind of thing, and I'm going to be doing more home-based videos as well, so don't think that I'll be doing these shaky outdoor videos all the time. If you like this and you really want to hear more about this, do subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right now. Hit the like button in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Hit that like button. Help other people find this video here. And do leave a comment in terms of what you found from this, what you think of this, what you would suggest in terms of improving this, whatever you want, or ideas for new videos. Always happy to hear from those. Okay guys, absolute pleasure as always. If you are interested in having a chat with me, write me an email, alex@realactioncoaching.com. It's my new email, my new little business that's in formation at the moment. Real Action Coaching, alex@realactioncoaching.com. Always looking forward to hearing from you. Over and out, much love, speak soon.